Well, hello. How are y'all this evening? Y'all, I'm wearing my like Texas shirt, so I'm like gonna be y'all tonight. Truly, for those of you who know, I'm from New England. Lived a lot of years in the Washington D.C. area as well. East Coast girl, and I put on my Texas shirt, and all of a sudden I'm like, y'all. In truth, for others who know me, you know that I also did a lot of my growing up in the Midwest, in Kansas specifically. Shout out to my friends Stacy, Christy, everybody in between. So anyhow, so I'm y'all mode tonight. How y'all doing? And I'm not making fun. I do enjoy living down here in Texas. There are lots of cool things about being here. Namely, I could eat outside tonight. Everyone thinks it's like so hot, but it actually gets like really nice and warm and quite dry in the evenings, especially at this time of year, which is something it doesn't do back east. Like at this time of night, it just, the air drops and it can be very humid. But I'm looking forward to going back home in August, visiting my parents. Shout out to my mom and dad. And my sister, my brother, we haven't seen in, like many of you, a couple of years. Right. Going to use a different deck tonight, guys. I'm going to use the Goddess Tarot. I haven't touched this deck since last year, before this time last year. And I haven't used this deck a lot, to be very honest. I think there was that Three of Swords that came up. How's that Three of Swords energy coming up for you? How's that working out for you today? Did you feel a lot of patterning, deep-seated stuff coming up and revealing itself to you, the ways that we get in our own way? I did. Yeah. Great. I enjoy doing these readings, and they're just as much for me as they are for you. I clear my energy so that way it is a message for all of us. And then, you take it and you map it onto your unique experience. So what I'm hearing what I'm saying may directly apply to you. Who knows? But this is a general reading for the all collective consciousness. Like, share, subscribe to on any of the platforms where you find this, so the word gets out. If you'd like your own private reading, though, I will be happy to do that. Just email me at lisa.loring@gmail.com. You can comment or in the commentary, or direct message me as well. People do that too. That's cool. Good conversations. Appreciate all who interact and share what they have to say. Wow, my crown chakra is really buzzing right now. It's pretty cool. So, yeah. What are the blessed messages? Oh my gosh, I sound like Uriel Firelight. I love her. She's awesome. She's a great tarot reader. Check her out. Haven't watched her in a while. Gosh, it's been a lot of months actually, but I do love her. She's been wonderful. Yeah, I have a very busy crown chakra tonight, which is great. So let's see, what are the messages for the collective consciousness, all zodiac signs? What are the divine messages? My angels, my guides. Provide me with insight on Friday, June 25th, 2021. We've got one coming up already. Ten of Swords. This card has been coming up, and it was in the bottom of the deck yesterday. Remember? It's a little more attractive version. So you have the Ten of Swords coming up. I'm noticing the clamshells at the hilt of the sword. And I gotta take my glasses off to see things close up. When I last used this deck, I did look up the clamshell symbolism. A I'll look it up again quickly tonight for us because I think it's important. And my eye is being really drawn to that, specifically the hilt, the golden. And again, there's 3 swords in the middle. It's not a 3 of swords card, but look at the 3 swords, you know, piercing. Again, through the array of thoughts. Swords is the suit of philosophies, belief systems of the mind, ways we think, pattern thinking. Communication, the way we communicate. Two other cards coming out. The World card, which when we pulled the archetype deck, the Animus Mundi, that was basically in that archetype deck by Kim Kranz, that in the write-up for that, it was referenced that that was basically the World card, and we have that coming up again. That is a thematic conversation that I have come across in various groups during the course of my week. The interconnectedness of things, and how even though, you know, we may be believing that we have our thoughts are our own, and we are, you know, isolated in our thinking, which a 10 of Swords energy can certainly make a person feel. The interconnectedness of all life is without question. Without question. When you put, for instance, two cells of 2 different hearts on a petri dish, they will begin beating in unison. Look it up. And the Prince of Swords has come up. He was kind of in the reverse, I have to say, so we'll talk about it in both directions. I feel like it kind of came out in reverse. So we have the World, and at the bottom of the deck we have Saraswati, Wisdom, the High Priestess card, and the King of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Staves, and the 8 of Staves. That energy has been coming up a lot too, as well. These Ace of Wands, and a lot of this, you see that they're this continuing theme. I also brought the Herbal Tarot out for a commentary. Let's bring the camera down in order to talk about these a little bit. There we go. Here we go. All right, so we have the 10 of Swords, a card of being at the end of one's rope. At being actually impaled by the burden of the endless thoughts that, you know, that this is an energy that comes out of the 9 of Swords, which is the thoughts that overhang a person, that keep you up at night, that keep us, you know, the kind that wakes you up at night, you know, something is not okay. The looping endless thoughts, and of course everything gets magnified in the night and dissipates in the night of day. But at this point, you know, there's no night aspect to this. I did say I was going to look up the symbolism of clamshells. Symbolism. Hey, my daughter just walked in. From India. So yeah, the moon god Vishnu carries a shell. Symbolically referred to Mary and means the divine conception of Jesus Christ in her body. That's one. And, you know, you also think about having to, what I'm thinking about is like the nautilus, and having, you know, if you think about a nautilus, how the creature who occupies a nautilus has to move from one chamber to the next in order to survive. Eventually it outgrows, you know, and I'm that's what I think that's what's coming up is eventually it outgrows the small chamber in which it lives. We outgrow the small-mindedness, the ways that we have been communicating and to ourselves specifically and therefore others. You know, when the way we communicate to ourselves is unequivocally the way we communicate to others, and you know, often it's, you know, thankfully it's usually a shade better to others than the way we tend to talk to ourselves. But and in a nautilus, you know, so that creature has to move from chamber to chamber to chamber as it builds that shell around it, and then and in order to stay afloat, the other shells become filled with a gas that keeps the creature alive, and you know, and the whole creature afloat. We have to outgrow these thoughts in order to be in this world energy. The energy of the world, we have to grow beyond our isolationist kinds of, you know, these beliefs that we are, you know, alone in a, you know, you can be in a crowded room, but you're completely alone. You can be alone and, you know, you can be by yourself, and believe that you are alone. Not true. There's always, always, always spiritual support. It's just a matter of starting to dissolve this idea that we are alone. We're not. And whether that's, you know, people, you know, believe in aliens or, you know, however you mean, and even that, we're not even alone in the universe. We are in this world, on this planet, but just recently you know, it was reported the other day, NASA's reporting that Venus is really not actually dormant. And there are tectonic kinds of shifting that are very similar to the kinds that we have here on planet Earth. It's slower, it's different, it's unique to that planet, but we're not alone. And to believe this is to continue to impale one's own heart. If you remember what that Three of Swords card looked like in yesterday's reading, it was these three swords. You know, what are the ways we keep subscribing to these old thought systems that keep us alone, keep us from participating in the world, from being part of the world? The judgments against ourselves that we then map literally onto the world, onto our way of being in the world. The way we look at things, the way we look at others, the way we look at situations. A very funny quip was made in a group I participated in earlier this evening. Is it a snake or is it a stick? You know, can we look at things as being, rather than through the eyes of fear and that we're going to get impaled, we can look at it as actually it's just a stick. We could take the stick and walk with it. And it can be supportive. So the Prince of Swords is here as well. So this energy is still here. The Prince of Swords is basically the Knight of Swords that came up earlier, like a 3 days ago. A very inconvenient truth coming in, rushing in, reckless kind of energy. This, I'm not sure, it kind of came out in the reverse though. So and as I'm reading this, I'm going to put it in the reverse because I'm going to tell you what. We need to put that Prince of Swords in reverse. To check our thoughts, to let them come in. Absolutely. There's no need to repress thoughts or emotions or anything like that. We should never do that, because when we're doing that, that just makes them into monsters. That just keeps us in this kind of energy, or even puts us back in the Nine of Swords energy. At least with the Ten of Swords, everything's out on the table at that point. It's in the light of day. And when the Prince of Swords is in reverse, this gives us the opportunities to, instead of being so reckless and rushing in with these thoughts and just, you know, basically emotionally vomiting, or, you know, just blindedly vomiting our belief, these narrow-minded thoughts upon everybody we see in the world, we actually slow that process down and we make good use of our thoughts. We're actually working more towards discernment rather than judgment. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. And, and so we have support for that because look who's at the bottom of the deck, right there, the High Priestess. This is the blending together of intuition and logic into wisdom and to making music with, instead of causing harm, to making music and a beautiful melody rather than a cacophony that nobody wants to even listen to, some screechiness. Doing something of beauty and, using those resources wisely and getting collaborations going, being in good leadership and rulership of, everything around us, our material goods, the way we educate and learn things, the way we educate and are educated, and making a place of beauty and kindness and living in a beautiful garden, and this kind of energy comes in, this kind of raw potential of passion and ideas towards good work and the things that we love and value in life. I mean, I love that. That's great stuff, right? I can go with that. Nobody wants to stay here. There is nobody that wants to stay here. And there's nothing in this spread that suggests that anybody does. It just takes a bit of doing to move past them. It takes the kind of patience and good leadership, wisdom, to let yourself have your process and to try those thoughts on. Admit that the thoughts are there. Because if you don't, that's just going to keep you in more of the same. So I'm going to pull out one card from the Herbal Tarot deck, which I haven't used much since last year either. I don't even think I ever used the Goddess deck on camera. World energy is coming full circle. It is the connectiveness of all lights. And that Animus Mundi card that came up with the archetypes deck yesterday, that was the world card. And it said that clearly in the little guide book that came with it. Such a great deck. I know folks don't like often the roundness of the cards can be a little unusual, but that makes it a lot of fun to work with. Something unusual. And so we have the Seven of Wands, seeds well planted. Wild ginger. Oh my gosh. And ginger we know is spicy, but it also is so soothing to anything that ails you. It's wonderful for the gut, anything gut flora. It is wonderful. Any kind of nausea, any kind of unsettledness. Ginger is the go-to. And so we're planting. We're planting something that is supportive to helping us maybe not be so seasick. Or I remember I always used to take ginger when we used to do cruises years and years ago. I would get seasick. But I would take ginger constantly, like all day long. Get me fine. I used to do it. I'm not bad with planes anymore. I used to have problems in the plane. But, it helps you kind of keep your balance and feel settled inside. And it promotes good gut flora and is an antiseptic as well. So it calms down a situation. It's a little fiery, even though, so Seven of Wands, it's a little fiery. And I I was saying planting of seeds. Seven of Wands is actually standing up for what you believe in, deciding on a course of action and stating that that's what you're doing no matter what. It's not the Nine of Wands energy, but it is the Seven of Wands, and it's that moment of standing up and just saying, I'm and choosing to be here with grace. It's choosing to stand up for what you believe in with acceptance of what other people are doing and letting them do their thing. And that doesn't mean that you don't still you do you and they do they, and it's fine. And you can still do your thing. And it becomes palatable for both parties or all parties to do what they need to do, to follow their path, to follow their journey. And then you come back and you tell stories around the campfire. But yeah, wild ginger. Oh, let me start this up again. I'll read from, oh, sorry, when my screensaver goes off. And then I have to sign back in. So 7 of Wands, suit of Wands. Where is the 7? There's the 8. 8. Oh, yeah. Well, the 8 of Wands is here too, for that matter. And that's giving one, putting everything out there. Lots of, putting everything out there to make your mark. 7 of Wands and ginger. So the 7 is a stimulant. It's it also helps with arthritis. So it loosens things up in that way. Helps with blood circulation, keeps things flowing, rheumatic complaints, nausea and stuff. Confrontation, struggle, standing up for one's intentions. So yeah, keeps things going, keeps things flowing. Even if you are standing up, by recognizing that others, have their own path to do, and they can equally stand up for their intentions. This is you like being strong in your beliefs as well, and so strong in your beliefs that you're willing to, accept the beliefs of others, the tolerance. Bring back in the World card. Bring back in how this 10 of Swords isn't working anymore. Some reckless coming in with your thoughts and just blasting everybody away. That doesn't work anymore either. Something more accepting of what's going on. And we're giving it our all. We're putting it all out there. The Sun card is back again. That is also at the bottom of the deck. Light is being shown. And there is and here's the 7 of Wands in this deck. So, the theme is very clear. We can stand in our beliefs. We can create new beliefs and get things flowing in a new direction. There's that wild ginger. And again, keeping things calm and keeping things flowing. I think we'll leave it there. And then I'll come back on Friday and we'll do a reading for the weekend. Again, like, share, subscribe. Email me if you want your own private reading. Check me out on any of the platforms where I'll post this, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. And yeah, I love you. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the documents below. All right, have a great one.